Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. Time has been a window. So about a month ago, Riot Games released the closed beta for Valorant. This was met with heavy criticism due to its invasive anti-cheat. It's so invasive that people were calling it a rootkit. Now why were people calling it a rootkit? Well, that is because it installs on the Windows kernel driver. This means it's running in Ring 0. Now for those who don't know what that means, basically Ring 3 means basic application. Ring 2 is for device drivers, and Ring 1 is for more important device drivers. Ring 0 gives absolute privilege over everything, and because of that, this anti-cheat actually boots up before you even log into Windows. Now the theory behind it is if it boots up before you log into Windows, you won't have any opportunity to load up cheats. So because of this, Valorant is the first game to completely stop cheaters, which you can see in this video right here. Okay, so it didn't work as well as they expected. In fact, there are already cheats working for this game on the second day of the closed beta being released. Now when Riot Games responded to this, they said, "To be honest, I was caught off guard by how much interest there's been in the game and how quickly cheat developers turned their attention to us. My estimate before launch was we'd see our first real cheats within the first 2 weeks of the beta. It turns out I was optimistic. Instead, we only had a few days of quiet before we had to be working full steam ahead." So then they went and ramped up the progress on the anti-cheat. And I'd like to tell you the whole cheating situation got better, but guess what? Well, at the end of the day, it looks like cheaters are gonna cheat. And because this anti-cheat was supposed to be so hard to hack, cheaters were taking this as a challenge. But that wasn't the only problem. The problem was that people were starting to worry that this anti-cheat might be more of a security risk than it's worth. After all, being level 0 means it has full access to anything on the computer it wants. This is how Riot Games responded. We built it on a principle of least privilege, where the driver has few features and does as few things as possible. For example, the driver does not communicate with the internet or collect any information. All functions that can be done outside of the driver context are done by non-driver components. This reduces the attack surface of the driver, making it less likely that security vulnerabilities exist. Now, Valorant doesn't have the first anti-cheat to run off the kernel. A popular anti-cheat known as BattleEye is also a fully proactive kernel-based protection system. But there is one major distinction between these two. BattleEye will only load up when you load the game and will close immediately afterward. But Valorant's anti-cheat, known as Vanguard, is always running from the second you turn on your computer. And there was no way to turn it off. That is until a recent update. Now in that recent update, Valorant made it so that you can disable the anti-cheat software when you're not playing. Basically now Vanguard will show a system tray icon. When you right click on it, you can now disable it when you don't want to play Valorant. You can do this by saying exit Vanguard. It even gives you the option to uninstall it completely. This is definitely a step in the right direction, but there's still one big problem. Even if you exit Vanguard, when you restart your computer, it'll be running as soon as your computer is. That is, unless you completely uninstall it. Now because Vanguard is running on the kernel and is launching from start, problems could still theoretically pop up. Valorant players are reporting that Riot Vanguard's anti-cheat system is causing major PC issues. Yup, even though Riot Games has tried to reassure us over and over again, as you can see here, our fears seem to be coming true. Many people in the community have reportedly run into varying PC issues due to Riot Games' new anti-cheat system Vanguard. Now based on what players have been saying, these issues can go from anything like blocking important devices to complete computer shutdowns. Reports have even come in saying that Vanguard anti-cheat has prevented some essential programs from running. For example, a user reported Vanguard blocked him from using MSI Afterburner. Others have complained of losing control of their keyboards and mouse. Now while I haven't experienced any of these problems myself, I actually do have friends that have contacted me with these issues already. For example, I'm just gonna read one straight up. "I'm done with Valorant, uninstalled. Game is trash, can't even use my CPU software." In another message I got from a friend, they said they couldn't use their mouse. So I'm not just getting this from news reports, I'm getting this from first-hand accounts. Now the biggest problem is that some users are experiencing complete computer crashes and blue screens of death. Now this is such a massive problem because, as I mentioned earlier, Vanguard starts right as your PC boots up, so you may not even get to the point where you can disable it. This means that Vanguard may completely brick your computer, making it completely inaccessible, as well as whatever files you may have on it. Now a while back I did make a video on this and talked about how you could disable the anti-cheat without fully uninstalling it. Now this method will disable it so that even after you restart it will not launch, but you will need to re-enable it if you do want to play. Now if you don't want to keep uninstalling and reinstalling the same program over and over again, there's another way to deactivate it. To do this, you go to search, type in CMD and right click on command prompt. Then select run as administrator. Next up type sc space config space vgk space start equals space disabled. After this, just like uninstalling it, you're going to need to restart your computer. Now it won't be running in the background, but you also won't be able to play the game unless you re-enable it. To re-enable it, you open up cmd prompt as administrator again, but this time you type this in. sc space config space vgk space start equals space system. Now while these steps aren't difficult, they can be a little bit time consuming and it can be frustrating to try to remember these commands. Luckily, there is a little easier way to go about it. First, right click on your desktop and go to Open New Text Document. Next, copy the command to disable it in the CMD. Then go to Save As. Now change Save Type As from text document to all files. Name it anything you want, but end it with a .bat at the end. Now all you have to do if you want to disable the anti-cheat is right click on this and say Run as Administrator. After that, restart your computer and the anti-cheat will no longer be running in the background. Now to re-enable the anti-cheat, if you want to play, all you gotta do is everything you did to disable the anti-cheat, but instead of typing disabled at the end, you just change that to system. And now you'll have two batch files, one that will enable it and one that will disable it. Alright guys, so there you go. As you guys know, I am very against cheating, but I think that this comes at too much of an expense. And while it does severely limit the accessibility of cheats, it doesn't do it well enough for me to feel like it's worth compromising my entire computer system. Now personally, I'm okay with the anti-cheat running off the kernel. But the change that I believe should be made is that it should not launch before the application. This means that instead of it running from when your computer starts up, it should run from when Valorant starts up, and then immediately shut off once it closes. Now in the last part of this video, I do want to bring up one more thing. It seems that Vanguard uses a system very similar to CSGO's Overwatch system, except it's far more intrusive and the AI decides who's cheating rather than a player. Part of me wonders if this will lead to more false negatives or more cheaters getting past the system. Keep in mind at this time, Valorant is still in closed beta, so I'm sure everything is still subject to change. I think it's important for us to keep communicating to Riot Games so that they make the correct decisions in the future. Anyways guys, that's it for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you believe that having such an invasive anti-cheat will pay off in the end, or do you think we're compromising too much of our systems? And finally, I hope you guys all have a great day.